holistic and multidisciplinary education as a part of the sensitization of NEP 2020, which was recently, still it is recent because it is not absolutely put into action. Still many people are under the impression that it is new to them, though it was announced 4 years back. As a part of that, I will be talking to you about holistic and multidisciplinary education system. As you can understand, I'm talking to the screen. For a teacher, always it is good to have interaction and one-to-one, eye-to-eye conversation so that we can deliberate more on the issues. But in a changed circumstance, it has become inevitable to equip ourselves, to learn ourselves, to interact online, so that take this as an opportunity to build our skills of talking and listening online. When I am talking to you, you can also take the liberty to stop me at any point of time and pose your questions, or otherwise, as usual at the end, you can ask me questions, let us interact. And I am of the clear opinion that I am talking to a group of teachers who are good in speaking, and at the same time, where it is difficult to hold them to be the listeners. Despite of all this, it is inevitable. We need to rise to the occasion because, as I remember and as you understand, during the COVID-19, it is the teaching fraternity that rise to the occasion before anybody do so to start interacting with the students online. Even the primary and nursery school teachers who are not that well versed with handling these equipments made an attempt to reach out to the students because there was a clear intention of doing something in the changed circumstance. Now the time has changed. We are not new to online education, and we are not even new to the changed education policy of the government of India. But still, here and there are certain issues to be familiarized with the teaching fraternity, who have the responsibility to take it further to achieve the purpose for which the new policy is being introduced. Therefore, take the liberty to interact with me, talk to me. Let it not go as a monologue. Let us make it a dialogue, although it is online. Take the liberty to raise your hand or put it on the box so that we can interact. Holistic and multidisciplinary education concept is not new actually, but it has become very popular after the announcement of NEP 2020. NEP 2020 came out with a good number of new initiatives with a modified version to suit the change. Today is one of the biggest hub of higher education. Higher education in India comprised of about 45,000 first-grade colleges offering degrees in different disciplines, and at the same time, more than 1,100 universities are operating, and about 12,000 standalone institutions are into higher education. But higher education is an area wherein, more than making the students to get their degree and by passing an examination, this is at the terminal level of the student's academic life. Thereafter, they are going to get into a practical life, the realistic ventures, wherein they may become officers, they may become leaders, they may become even practitioners of their chosen area. As such, our responsibilities in the universities and colleges are not confined to prepare them for the examination, but to mold them as the responsible citizens and to make them a total holistic personality, a perfect individual, Keeping that in mind, I will make an attempt to talk to you in the light of the NEP 2020. Needless to elaborate, the new education policy initiated by the Ministry of Human Resources, Government of India, has been approved and announced on 29th July 2020. In view of the need for making a flexible education system so that students, depending upon their interest, can choose interdisciplinary and intradisciplinary skill-based courses as a part of their higher education. Needless to elaborate again, you are already completed a week's time listening to different lectures related to NEP and all. The new education policy was designed in view of the Sustainable Development Goals announced by the UNO. UNO came out with 17 Sustainable Development Goals, out of which the fourth Sustainable Development Goal was concerned with education. And the objective of Sustainable Development Goals was to facilitate for the transformation of the world through knowledge. The mission of SDGs announced by the UNO on that day said it is to transform the world through education. What to transform? I still remember the CEO of the UNO on that day made an attempt to come out with a statement that eradication of unemployment, hunger, ill health and all sorts of inequalities through education. And he considered education as a means for social transformation. That was announced for the use of all the member countries. About 193 member countries of UNO considered that sustainable development goals and the mission announced by UNO as the basis for developing their education system. Accordingly, Indian government also, after a lapse of about 35 years of announcing new education policy, that was in 1986, came out with a new policy in the year 2020 with a lot of ambition to make changes in the education system. Showing whenever we speak about education system, it is concerned with the development of the course content and the curriculum and the pedagogy. What type of contents are to be included in the courses, and what should be the methodology of teaching, and what should be the focus of our courses. Needless to elaborate, we are in the changed circumstance. Speaking in industrial revolution terms, we are presently in the industrial revolution 4.0, and we are moving towards 5.0 industrial revolution and its new impositions on the entire world. When the world changes, at the first instance, the pressure will be on the academia, pressure will be on the teachers to prepare the youngsters to equip themselves to face the realities of life. Anything that happens in the world mostly happens because of teachers, whether they are officially designated or otherwise. Teachers are those who are responsible for the transformation. In my opinion, teaching is not just a profession that is concerned with discharging certain well-defined duties. It is an act of transforming the potential into reality. The potential in our hand is the youngsters. India, as you know, I'm not going to elaborate on that, is the country with the largest size of young population. That could be the reason for a former President of India, APJ Abdul Kalam, to say that by 2020, India will become young, and by 2020, India will become the superpower. India has become young. Today, we have more than 60% of our population in the age group of 18 to 35 years, and 50% of our population is in the age group of 25 years. And that makes us to claim that we are the youngest in the world, but we are yet to become the superpower. And the means to become superpower is only through the demographic dividend that we can achieve through the youngsters by using education as a powerful means to support them. So that in order to prepare the youngsters to meet the challenges of the present day, we need to develop a curriculum, we need to prepare a methodology of teaching that suits the future challenges. That's the reason I thought of mentioning before you a quote by Alvin Toffler. Alvin Toffler, in his very popular book called Future Shocks, mentioned somewhere that to help avert future shocks, we must create, and to do this, we must search for our objectives, methods in the future rather than the past. Education must to future tense. This is to highlight that education must always speak about the future. No doubt our history is excellent. We have an historical background, but by talking too much about history, we cannot achieve anything. We need to equip ourselves in the light of the modern developments. Say, for instance, today, nobody can teach anything effectively without the aid of technology. ICD has become a popular expression among the academicians, so that we need to equip ourselves. Without technology, we cannot complete the task effectively. And at the same time, our objective is not only to make the students to prepare for the examination and to make high scorings, but it is to mold them as employable, valuable, meaningful citizens who can sustain all types of pressures and all types of changes that are happening in the world. There comes the importance of thinking of holistic and multidisciplinary education. So that before I take you there, I want to highlight some of the features of the NEP 2020. It is not to elaborate on that, you might have listened to lectures on that, but if we recall the salient features of NEP 2020, we can understand the spirit of holistic and multidisciplinary education system. The salient features of this new education policy is based on the assumption and the focus that of outcome-based education. Outcome-based education means everybody take up this higher education with a purpose, with a specific intention, with a specific goal. They want to become something with the help of that. Education is no longer just considered as a means for acquiring knowledge. Although we claim that we are in the field of knowledge and our job is to create and disseminate knowledge, students coming to different courses are not just coming with an intention to acquire knowledge, because knowledge can be acquired through different means. Today, with the advent of IT and IT revolution, knowledge is available abundantly, and many a time people believe that whatever information is available on the net is equal to knowledge, but that is not. We need to make people to realize that there is a difference between information, knowledge, and the wisdom. To make a society that is knowledgeable, to make the youngsters with the required level of wisdom, we need to set objectives for our education system. Hope you can recall the NEP called for prescribing the objectives for each and every program and courses, the outcome of studying a particular course, why you are studying, after completing the course, what is expected of you. That is the basic objective with which the new policy has been developed. And more than preparing youngsters for a subject, the intention is to develop critical thinking and development of real life problem solving skills among the youngsters today. Because many a time, the present day generation of students, they are good in doing lot many things at a time, multitasking, and their memory power is also relatively better when compared to their predecessors, but they don't apply that knowledge for solving the problems. That is evident many a time. A top ranked student, when it comes to realities of life, finds himself miserably failed, finds himself miserably difficult to handle the real life situations in his day-to-day life. As a result of that, there is a need to make our youngsters to apply the knowledge that they acquire inside the colleges and the universities for their day-to-day life. That is what the intention. Extensive use of technology in teaching and learning. Yes, today nobody has the time to listen to lengthy lectures. Nobody has the time to read voluminous books. We are in the era of speed. Speed matters a lot. As a result, everybody asks for instant solutions, instant answers for their questions. Therefore, to make the classes interesting, to make our students interactive, we need to use all possible gadgets and the technology for making teaching and learning enjoyable. That is the objective of NEP 2020. Along with that, introduction of vocational courses to enhance the technical skills of the students. Vocational courses, say for instance, whatever the subject that the student study in his regular course, you will be knowing NEP has identified the programs and program-specific specializations, discipline-specific specialization, interdisciplinary specializations, skill enhancement, ability enhancement type of contents. Whatever the subject that the student is pursuing as a main course, along with that, vocational courses to enhance his efficiency in doing something need to be given to the students during the course of study. Say, for instance, many universities came out with digital banking, AI-related subjects, which are of greater significance for any graduate, irrespective of their programs. Followed by that, empowering the students to become experts in problem solving with discipline knowledge and other related skills. This is what the objective, empowerment of students. When you give to a student, that student must feel that he is empowered, he is capable, he is confident of handling the crisis that may emerge in front of him. That is the spirit with which the new policy has been introduced. To substantiate this, hope most of the teachers have come across the document related to NEP 2020. Document has come out with a concept called graduate attributes. What are graduate attributes? A graduate must have certain pre-expected, substantiate to just he is a graduate. What are those characteristics? Hope I am reaching you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
This is just to clarify.
Yes,
whether
sir.
we are in connect, whether we are in touch. Am I reaching?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Please
Sure,
be
sure.
generous to say yes or no, so that I confidently can speak. Graduate attributes. Graduate who may be getting an undergraduate or a postgraduate or an honors degree must justify, he must demonstrate certain expected qualities that are is a graduate. What are they? I am giving this only summary of that graduate attributes. The first thing, every graduate, whether he is a science or commerce, law, any discipline for that matter, knowledge is the same, but for our convenience,
दाल खिचड़ी प्लस मशरूम चिल्ली प्लस स्वीट ये ले लेते हैं हाँ
if it is not,
एक
please.
वो जो दाल खिचड़ी प्लस मशरूम प्लस वन स्वीट कितने का
120.
हाँ एक दे दीजिए
Okay, graduate attributes. Every graduate, irrespective of the discipline to which he or she belongs to, must demonstrate a deep knowledge of subject in the program successfully completed. A commerce graduate must be good in commerce subjects. A graduate in history related subject must have a hold on the knowledge of history. A science, chemistry or physics graduate must be good in that subject. It goes without saying. In addition to that, he should demonstrate the capacity to engage in self-reflection and lifelong learning. Self-reflection means he himself must, or science graduate, how a science graduate should think, how a commerce graduate must think and live, and how a student with sociology background talks, how a student of educational background speaks. All this need to be inculcated into his personality. A graduate must develop a personality to prove that he is a graduate. That is the content that we need to impart through our educational system to every child or every student who come to our programs in the universities and the colleges. And the subjects that we teach, learning. Lifelong learning means every moment you must feel that there is something to know. There must be a sort of urge, graduate, to think of the new happenings around him and justify his knowledge in the light of the changes that are happening and its worth in the changes that are happening. If I am not reaching you, you can take the liberty to question me. There must be scope for transferable skills suitable for employment. Needless to elaborate, important thing. One is the knowledge, other one is the skill, and the third one is attitude. The objective of any education system is to impart, that is, the knowledge, attitude, and the skill. The skills that we are teaching to our students must be transferable. Transferable means they must be applied to solve realistic problems. Something to happen practically, really in his day-to-day life. Then only it will be called a skill. Say, for instance, a graduate who is well versed with something related to banking, if he claims that he is a graduate with banking, he is a graduate with finance, he is a graduate with social work or something related to economics, he must be able to use this knowledge for solving his day-to-day problems. That is what the intention of making the skills transferable. Further, there must be capacity to take up social and civic responsibilities relating to the environment and the society. Our graduates, to justify, to so much educated, must develop a sense of social and civic sense. Many a time people say civic sense has nothing to do with the educational background. Even the so-called graduate, they become examples to quote when there is a lack of social and civic sense. Civic sense is something that makes them to be proud. Say, for instance, when the rules and regulations are formulated for the good of the community, let it be a simple example like following the traffic rules, following cleanliness, maintaining silence. Are all the basic civic senses that are to be imparted to anybody, and more so with the graduates and postgraduates, so that we must develop a sense of responsibility towards the society and protecting the Mother Earth. Environment pollution is the biggest problem, and many a time it is the most advanced countries and the highly educated people who are contributing a lot for spoiling the environment. Therefore, an holistic education, a multidisciplinary education must make our graduates to be responsible in protecting the environment and the social values. Social values, I am saying. And also to develop a deep understanding of and respect for diversity, pluralistic, and other cultures. This is another very, very essential that must be imparted to our youngsters who are going to be the future citizens of the nation. Regardless of the degree and the masters that they pursue, we must make them to respect the concept of diversity. That too in a country like India, where there are more than a dozen religions, more than 2,000 languages are spoken, and we find cultural differences with every 15 kilometers distance across the country. Every 15 kilometers, there will be difference in food habits, differences in accents, differences in cultural, ritualistic practices. Everybody have their own rights and responsibilities, and we must respect the principles of pluralistic society. In a country like India, that is the need of the hour, to develop people, that to youngsters, with a commitment to respect diversity. And it should not be confused with anything. Let everybody have the right. The Constitution of India has given right to everybody. Respecting one's constitutional right is the obligation for every individual. And in democracy, more than asking about our rights, we need to think of the rights of others also. That should be the spirit of education system, and adherence to highest standards of ethical behavior. Adherence to highest standard of ethical behavior. Ethics is something that is concerned with morality, good and the bad, right and the wrong. If the graduates character before others, there is no meaning for education at all. Therefore, my point is to say that a graduate is one who fulfills all these requirements, all these characteristics. Our educational system must come out with that. You can ask me a question. Is it there in all the syllabus that you are preparing? Don't expect the syllabi to have all this. Let you science, arts, commerce, or any subject for that matter, the ultimate objective is to make them perfect human beings, perfect citizens, responsible individuals of the society. To make that to happen, we need to keep in mind whatever the subject that we are teaching, there will be an issue, social sensitivity, environmental sensitivity, ethical considerations. All these things need to be inculcated into our teaching, whether it is directly given in the syllabus or not, it is the implied responsibility of all the teachers in the higher education system. Because higher education is not just teaching a subject by delivering lectures. I'm the one many a time who says the job of a teacher is not that of a delivery boy or a delivery girl. It is to transform the mindset of the people. For transforming the minds of the people, you need to think differently. You need to interpret differently. You need to go to the students' level of understanding and help them to evolve and make them to rise to the occasion with the required knowledge. That can happen only when we develop a sense of teaching multidisciplinary method. What is holistic? Holistic means it is a total personality focused, a total citizenship focused. Today, we are preparing youngsters not only to become citizens of India. Our aim is to make them to become global leaders. For the global leaders, the global awareness is the most essential thing. And they must inculcate leadership qualities invariably, whatever the subjects they are studying. And they should learn communication skill to represent themselves, to present their viewpoints confidently before anybody of any subject that they are studying. A scientist is also need to demonstrate, a scientist is also expected to put forth his viewpoints before others. Otherwise, chances of misrepresenting, misusing, misinterpreting will be there. Whether you are science teacher, arts teacher, wherever it is, you need to look at multidisciplinary, holistic viewpoint. Nothing wrong if you go beyond the boundaries of the demarcation made between the subjects. It is for our convenience we have demarcated the subjects into art, science, commerce. But what is required is the knowledge. Life cannot be complete without applying or making a blend of all this together to solve the problem. That is what the spirit with which NEP 2020 was introduced, with an intention to develop graduates with these attributes. Further, to substantiate all this, I am drawing points from the vision statement of NEP 2020. I will be still taking you towards holistic and higher multidisciplinary education system, because the roots are there in the NEP in the recent days. Otherwise, it's not a new concept. Since centuries, we have been practicing holistic and multidisciplinary teaching and learning system in India. India is the country since time immemorial. We are talking about 64 different types of skills, 64 different types of learning, different talents of 64 varieties. So that variety of knowledge, variety of content is there in our system. But the NEP 2020 made it more explicit to give an opportunity for the students to pursue the courses in the way that they like, by enabling an arts graduate to think of opting for a science subject as an additional subject and vice versa. A commerce graduate social studies, sociology, social work, political science, etc. Why it is? Why we are talking all this interconnection of subjects? NEP 2020's vision and vibrant knowledge society. Equitable and vibrant knowledge society by providing high quality education to all. No student should left over. And simply because of the reason something is difficult for him, he or she should not stop studying. Give them something where they can understand. make it understandable. One of the biggest challenges in today's classrooms are our students are not going to understand any lecture that we make, anything that we teach. Try to grasp something that is essential for their examinations. It is something like extracting something from the syllabus that is significant and important, writing the examination. And most of the time, students will ask a question about the utility of the content that you are teaching in the classroom from the point of view of securing marks, not the utility in terms of applying them in life, in their future. I don't know whether you agree or not. Today, you cannot find students with curiosity, responsibility to prepare for the examination, students with eagerness to score more marks than understanding the subject, because we are living in such a society, such a system. We are measuring their success in terms of their ability to get a job and also what type of job they are getting, how lucrative those jobs are in terms of monetary returns. That is what the type of materialistic society in which I and you are supposed to teach. But along with this, we must not forget teachers have a role to play in the student's life. Whatever they learn from any other sources, ultimately it is the teachers who are pointed out, and it is the teachers who are treated as the source of their thinking and actions. Therefore, it is our responsibility to create an ambience where the students will really learn these characteristics, so that our aim is to create a knowledge-based society. Knowledge-based society. Knowledge has no demarcations. Only in the universities and colleges, for the purpose of administrative convenience, they have classified that into different subjects. Otherwise, it is knowledge. Knowledge is the power. Knowledge is the means through which any problem can be sorted out. That's the reason UNO came out with the statement, transformation of the world through knowledge, eradication of poverty, hunger, ill health, unemployment, and all sorts of inequalities can be sorted out through knowledge. The Vision 2020 point is develops a deep sense of respect towards the fundamental rights. Many people don't know what are the fundamental rights. Forget about the small kids, the so-called postgraduates cannot remember, recall, respect the concept of fundamental rights and duties enshrined in the Indian Constitution. It is to make them to develop a sense of responsibility towards the constitutional values. What are the constitutional values? Indian Constitution has openly declared certain values in the very preamble itself. Liberty, equality, justice, fraternity. These values must be respected by every individual. The Constitution is not a means for controlling anybody. It is to control ourselves. It is to be responsible towards others. It is to discharge our duties effectively. For that purpose, develop a deep sense of respect towards the fundamental duties, rights, and constitutional values, bonding with one's country, that is our India, and a conscious awareness of one's role and responsibilities in the changing world. The world is changing today. Whatever happens somewhere in US, somewhere in Iran, somewhere in Pakistan, will definitely have an impact on the life of people in India. Let it be in any country. We are living in a global village. In the global village, all the things are interconnected. In this interconnected system, what is my responsibility as a global citizen? We are preparing youngsters to be responsible global citizens. Vishwamanava. Vishwamanava, the concept was given by the great poet of Kannada, Sri Kuvempu. Universal manhood. These days we talk about universal manhood. But some 100 years back, India and the state of Karnataka thought of something called Vishwamanava. There is a need to make our students to think in such a wider perspective than making them narrow graduates, narrow literates. There is a difference between a literate and an educated person, a difference between a learned man and an intellectual. Our job is to make our students intellectuals and not only to make them learned graduates. That's what the spirit highlighted in the NEP 2020's vision statement. Values and dispositions that support responsible commitment to human rights, sustainable development and well-being. Human rights is one of the most prominent topic to be discussed. Respecting the rights of every citizen, every individual, first like human beings. That too at this point of time, in the name of civilization, in the name of development, man has become highly cutthroat, has become animalistic, selfish. Act on others. At this point of time, whatever the subject you are teaching physics, teaching economics, political science, teaching commerce, teaching management, teaching subjects like that, the first thing that we have to make, along with all other responsibilities, is to create an awareness in the minds of youngsters about human rights. Make them to believe that the other person sitting in front of me is also like me. Empathy. If education fails to give anything, doesn't matter. The ultimate justification for education is to develop empathy in the minds of people, to think that whatever pains me will also pain others. Whatever makes me happy will also make others, and others are also like me, human beings. When I like my happiness, when I expect freedom for myself, why not others? Empathy is the most valuable thing that people look for. So that education must deliver that. To do that, to make it to happen, we need to teach all these things wherever it is possible. Simply because of the reason your domain don't expect you to know about Constitution, don't forget it. Constitution has been made a compulsory subject for study for all the graduates in almost all the universities. But unfortunately, the required emphasis is not being given on that subject. Environmental studies is also of the same case. As a mandatory subject, people are passing the examination without knowing the basics of this environmental studies and constitutional values. Therefore, forget about the course introduced as a compulsory paper. Even when you teach a subject, teach something related to your area. When I say your area, you may be teaching something related to social theories. You may be teaching something related to economic theory, political theory, law of gravitation, chemical reactions. Anything that you are teaching can be connected to the society, can be made constitutional responsibilities, obligations, the minds of the students for a long time. Because ultimately, it is the life and the life-related issues that are remembered. All these principles. The formulas that we develop, the formulas must be usable, transferable to life. Transferable to life means somewhere it must reflect its application to solve a problem, to get over a crisis, that will be remembered. So that my point is to say that we need to think on the lines of the vision set for this 2020 while teaching any subject that we are teaching today. I am of the opinion you can relate your subject comfortably to all these things that are enshrined in the vision statement of NEP 2020. Along with this, towards education, and then need to understand about holistic and multidisciplinary education. Basically, both of us, you and me, are all teachers. Teaching is said to be one of the noblest professions. Despite of so much of technology, advancement of what shall I say, teaching methodology with the help of artificial intelligence, I am sure nothing can replace teachers, because teachers cannot work as the machines. Teachers have to feel, teachers have to sensitize, teachers need to realize the need for understanding the mindsets of the people. So that unless we understand the mindsets of the people, the present day youngsters and their requirements, we cannot reach out to them effectively. Therefore, a true education is one where there is interaction, involvement, and exchange of thoughts between a matured person like a teacher with the young minds which are supposed to blossom hereafter. Keeping that in mind, I'm going to say a few things about education, and later on we can move towards holistic and multidisciplinary education. First thing is, education is broadly concerned with building human capital and capabilities that enables the realization of full potential of oneself and the civilization. See, at the first instance, education is concerned with building two things. One is the human character, other one is human capability. Capability comes out of three things, that is knowledge, skill, and attitude. Capability, whether you are capable or incapable, are indicated through these three elements. I'm sure all of you are familiar with Bloom's taxonomy of education, wherein it is mentioned that three most important things that the education must deliver. First one is the knowledge. Knowledge is the most dynamic force which never becomes static. Knowledge is like a bicycle where you have to pedal, pedal, pedal. The moment you stop pedal, the bicycle will stop. Therefore, knowledge needs to be updated, sharpened all the time. Followed by that is attitude. Attitude is the mindsets, apathy, and the predetermined opinion of people about something. Liking or disliking, love or hatredness comes because of the attitude. It is education that should build attitude in the minds of people. Positive or negative attitudes are the result of learning happens in life, not all the time inside the classroom. It can also happen outside. But education consists of attitude as the most important element. Followed by that is the skill. These days, we talk a lot about the skills, soft skills, we speak about it. Life skills, we speak about it. Technical skills, soft, technical, whatever the type of skill. Skill is the ability of an individual to apply the knowledge towards solving a problem. To solve a problem, how can an individual apply his knowledge, the capacity or the ability to use that knowledge practically to solve the problem is called skill, like swimming, driving, reading, writing. They're all skills. There are different types of skills. I'm not going to elaborate on that. But Education is to build capability on the one side plus character on the other side. Character speaks about the virtue, honesty, sincerity, dedication, respect, love. There are about 17,000 words in English to describe human character. 17,000 words in English to describe human character. But finally, we identify people as good or bad. What makes good character, what makes bad character. It is the society that determines, social value system that determines what is character and what it is not. Therefore, in the light of the circumstances, education must build these two things, youngsters, because they are the real asset. They are the people who are going to be the future. They are the people who are going to decide the fate of the nation. Hence, they must be properly trained. They must be exposed to the most practical skills that are related. Say, for instance, these days, the most relevant skill for any youngster is critical thinking, as I already mentioned. Social skills. Many a time our students may be excellent in writing answers, passing the examination, but when it comes to mingling with others in the society, interacting with people who are above or below their level of thinking, diversity, the question of diversity, they are not that good. Problem solving. Many a time, our most genius students are not confident of solving the personal problem because of their inability to rise to the occasion. World is not as you expect. All the time, you cannot find somebody to help you. But our students are spoon-fed. Many a time, they cannot rise to the occasion. They cannot sustain the pressure of time, pressure of the situation. As a result, you might have noticed this tendency of getting depressed, disappointed, frustrated, making attempts to commit suicide has become very common among the youngsters. Why? Because they are not trained to accept defeat. They have not been trained to accept defeat. All the time they must win. Winning is not always possible. We never respected the failed candidates. The world never respect the losers. All the time the winners, and there is a saying, success has many parents. Everybody says succeed, succeed, but it's not possible for everybody. In a class, everybody cannot become a gold medalist. Given this situation, they must occasion and to understand the realities of the situation. Therefore, education is to provide a balanced, inclusive, and comprehensive worldview. I repeat, education is to provide an induction into a balanced, inclusive, and comprehensive worldview. World is made up of many things. You are not competent to address all the problems of the world with one small thinking related to one subject, one concept. You are expected to be worldly wise today. To be worldly wise, you need to have the little bit workable knowledge of everything that is relevant. You are not expected to be a genius. You are not expected to be an expert in AI. But how AI works, how to use AI, that you need to learn. Forget about students. Today, the biggest challenge before the teachers is to survive in the light of the latest development of AI and its application in academics. Many a time people talk whether AI can replace teachers, because already robotic teachers have been introduced. What teachers cannot do, that the AI can do most effectively, intelligently. Given this situation, unless the teachers can rise to the occasion, equip themselves, prepare for meeting the challenges of the AI, They cannot survive as teachers. Quick, redundant. Believe me, today teaching is no longer an easy job. Teaching is a challenge. That too, in the colleges and the universities, where the students are in the age of transition, they are in the age of transition means they are neither kids nor grown-ups. Holding them in a class, making them to listen to us is a challenge. I believe all of you are listening to me because I'm talking to the screen. I don't know how many of you are practically listening to me.
Yes,
It's a
sir.
big challenge. Unless you hold their attention, establish a reason for them to look at you, a reason for listening to you, you cannot become a successful teacher. And most of the time, what you speak inside the class has become redundant already through the mass media, social media, and the internet. And AI can summarize everything. AI can summarize everything. Before you complete the question, if they apply AI, that will come out with a ready-made answer. Unless you change the method of questioning, unless you change the method of delivering your content, you will become outdated. That is the challenge today. Therefore, teachers need to develop capability along with the character. Education is not only for students, we are the real students. We need to learn every day. Therefore, education is to provide an induction into a balanced, an inclusive, and a comprehensive worldview that will serve a cause, including but beyond personal life. It is not for my own personal well-being. It is for the community. It is for the total human beings. For the entire world, I am trying to help because that is the real justification for education. We can do that with the help of changing the mindset. An holistic education or a multidisciplinary education is not to prepare graduates, it is to work with young minds and to change their minds in the way that we like. Unless we change the mind, we cannot. We have to change the habits of the mind. When it comes to habits of mind, habits of mind are connected with the characteristics of performance. Normally, success or failure is the consequence of the application of mind. When you look at the most successful people, they may not be that good in the formulas, they may not be that good in using technology, they may not be good in using gadgets. All the successful leaders may not be knowing the theories that I and you know, may not be knowing the formulas that I and you can apply. But what made them to be so big, it is their mindset. Therefore, it is the characteristics of the peak performers in all the places, homes, schools, and athletic fields, organization, the military, government, church, corporations, wherever they are. They are all the people with a different mindset. They are what makes marriages successful. Why I am telling this, education and successful life. Why do we do all this? It is to lead happy life. What is happy life? Happy life can be there only when the family is happy, people in the family are happy, relations in the family are successful. Therefore, it is what makes marriages successful, learning continual, workplace productive, and democracies enduring. For the sustenance of the democracy, for the happiness of the family, for the happiness in the workplace, for the success of the marriages, it is the mind that matters, not the degrees, not the certificates. The goal of education, therefore, should be to support others and ourselves in liberating, developing, and habituating of mind more meaningfully. More fully means meaningfully, more completely. To liberate. Liberation means freedom, free mind, free thinking, free atmosphere, free environment, free nations. That can happen only when The mind is free. Remember, human mind is like a parachute. It works when it is open. If it is closed, it will not. A parachute works only when it is open. Despite of having a parachute on the top or in the bottom of the seat, people may not be able to use it unless their mind permits. Therefore, holistic education is not related to one simple subject. It is not directly connected to one program. Whatever the programs that we are teaching and whatever the course or the subject that we are teaching, there is scope for generalizing it, universalizing it, and taking it to the practicalities of life. If that is done, unknowingly, we are practicing holistic education. Before I stop for a break, if you have any queries to ask, please feel free. As I told you, so far I'm talking to only screen. No audios are visible. If you have any queries, you can post questions. We can start again after the tea break. Excuse me, are there any audience? No, nobody is
Yes, sir.
responding.
We are
Nobody
there.
is-
Yes, we are there, sir. We are there, sir. We are there.
Please, please. I was reaching you, whether the topic is justified.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
It's
sir.
audible, sir. It's audible.
Still here.
Are there any
Yes, sir.
questions? Any contributions from your side?
Sir, I have posted.
Please, please. Ask your question.
Sir, I have put it on the chat, sir.
Not visible to me. Can you read it out?
Attention span is only 20 minutes. How do we help students?
Attention span got reduced. The span of attention now is of 4 minutes. The first 4 minutes, if the presentations are attractive, interesting, and ignite the student's mind, thereafter students will show some interest. In order to make it to happen, we need to prepare our presentation in such a way that grab the attention of the youngsters. Unless you know the nature of the youngsters, their capabilities and competence, you cannot devise it properly. A teacher, however intelligent he or she is, however resourceful he or she is, every time has to plan the presentation. Planning the presentation to provide for a smooth flow of information, we can reach out to the students. So that my point is to say, span of attention is the period for which students can focus their attention. Students can listen to. Now, from 20 minutes after COVID, it got reduced to 4 minutes. Any presentation during the first 4 minutes has to make a positive impression. If the first 4 minutes are positive, thereafter it becomes convenient to hold the attention of students. So that prepare well, plan well, take an entry to their mind, not the classroom. You have got into the classroom. Once you got into the class, to get into their mind, you have to plan your presentation. What to say first. That's the significant thing. Hope you got the answer. Are
Yes,
you
sir.
convinced
Thank you
with
so
this?
much. Yes, I think it's more convincing.
As a teacher, I believe that questions will not come under two circumstances. One is when the students and the audience understood everything that he said. The second one is when nothing is understood. I don't know what's happening now. There is no scope for me to study your gestures, facial expressions, eye movements and all. If that is visible, I could have realized myself whether I am reaching you or not. If I am not reaching, please come out with questions, please. Any confusions if I have created, comments so that we can deliberate on that. It's an attempt to reach out to you. Continue further. I was talking to you about habits of mind, and it is the mind that makes people to be successful or failure. Our job is to make people successful. Success is what everybody likes, but it's not that easy. How to guide success? Guide success. That means you are guiding your people to be successful citizens, successful students. There, your objective need to be very clear. What is the objective of your teaching? Your objective of your teaching is not just to complete the syllabus. It is not just to make them prepare for the examination, but it is to mold them as responsible citizens and to make them the global, whatever the field that they select. Today, sky is the limit. People can become anything that they like, regardless of their geographical location, socioeconomic backgrounds. For such a field, it is the teachers who have the to prepare their whatever experiences that we have undergone, that experience must be used as a content for training, for teaching our students, so that students will equip themselves to face the realities of the highly dynamic world order.